What's going on? What's going on, everybody? What's going on, everybody? Featherstone here with the former WCW World Heavyweight Champion, the former WWE head writer. He is none other than Mr. Future WWE Hall of Famer, Vince Russo.
Not after this, bro, because if Raju allowed us to cuss on this show,
I don't use profanity.
my opening statement as a current Hall of Famer would be, I believe they say in the UK, Chris, what a shite show. What a shite show. 3 hours of non-stop shite.
It was
wow.
It was really bad, man.
2 weeks after WrestleMania, bro.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
This is it, man. We said it. Yeah. 2 weeks after WrestleMania, this is what we're back to.
Okay, so let me throw this in here and see what you think about this, Vince. So let me advocate for the marks for a second. I know it'll be tough to do, but let me just throw this in fairness. All right.
Yep.
So in fairness, there were some travel issues, and there was a bunch of rewrites because there was a lot of people that weren't there. So does that still make a difference?
No, because the people that were on the show this week are always on the show every week. What are you talking about? Like, it's the same exact people on the show.
I tried, Vince. I tried. Come on.
Why were there travel issues? I don't understand. What was going on?
I think there was just delays in trying travel. People were it was like 7 Eastern, like less than an hour beforehand. People were having difficulties getting in.
I don't know how does that work? Talent when I was working, talent never flew in the day of a show.
Wasn't they there like hours before typically?
So they would show the call time was about noon, but I would say the majority got in the night before.
Yeah. I guess they're just like, hey, you know what? You can come at 7 if you want to. I mean, why not?
Bro, man? Whatever. Listen, if they're talking about the gimmick they did with Sami Zayn and Riddle at the like it would have really mattered if those two were on like Siri. Come on, bro. Will you this was a shite show. 2 weeks after WrestleMania, we're right back where we started, bro. What a horrible waste of my 3 hours. My 92-year-old dad is here, and I had to sacrifice 3 hours to watch this. Oof. Instead of spending time with my dad. That's like a sin, bro.
Oof. That's dedication to your job, man. That's so kudos to you for that, because yikes. Watching,
I mean, we got people turning on people for no reason. We've got Cody spending 20 minutes to tell us that he wants a rematch with Brock Lesnar, who's not even in the building. Like, come on, man. Bro, I swear to God, I know they don't care, and why should they, bro? They just sold for $10 billion. If you really think there's one casual fan living on this planet that cared about that main event, then you know nothing. Like, it's that simple. You know nothing about television. You know nothing about TV audiences. You know nothing about what draws. You know nothing about characters. You know nothing. There is not one casual fan that cared one iota about that main event. And I don't care if what was the plan, bro? Sami and Riddle was supposed to be there, and it was supposed to be a 6-man. Was that the plan, bro? Was that the plan that was messed up?
And I doubt. I think they just put the delay thing in there just to try to spice it up, but I think at the end of the day, it probably just would have been a run-in anyways, because the 6-man is probably going to happen at Backlash. I called a 6-man, but I thought Cody and Roman are going to be a part of it. but I knew some type of 6-man was going to happen at Backlash. Even if there wasn't any travel issues, they probably were going to be backstage and come and make the save on Kevin Owens anyway. So I don't see anything different there.
Yeah.
We got some super chats. We got ACW online 199.
That's right, ACW. You are 1,000% correct.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
I have a wife and 3 kids at home, and I had to watch this. So, but I'm a provider for my family, and I get I get paid well to talk about this, and so I'm gonna make the most fun as I possibly can and have a great time with Vince Russo. Speaking of fun, man, and we miss people. You know who else watched this? I gave him a call. I gave him a call. And I asked him to watch it with me because he, look, Vince, I was like, man, listen, I'm gonna fall asleep. I've got to watch this with you.
Bro, do not pull Toots up on the screen. Toots is not watching this. Toots, I promise you. Okay, good.
Toots.
Okay, fine. Good. Thank God.
Do not say that guy's name in my vicinity. I was the one who watched this.
Save this show, Black Scorpion. I'm begging you to save this show.
I had a meeting with Vince McMahon to be the head booker, the head writer of Legion of Raw. And you know what he told me?
What did he tell you?
He mumbled. Nice. He mumbled at the Black Scorpion, man.
Very nice. Very nice.
Let's start with Rey Mysterio cutting an in-ring promo and gets interrupted by Dominik Mysterio. Dominic Mysterio, man, he's I will give Dominic as far as a breakout star over the past 6 months, man. Ex-con Dom. Just imagine if he was just like a cookie cutter white meat baby face with short hair like he was before. This version of Dom is definitely getting much more honing into at only 23 years old. I mean, you got to give it to him, man. I mean, what do you think?
No, I mean, we've been putting Dom over. I mean, we've definitely been putting Dom over, but bro, they did it again here. I don't understand their logic about the, let's have a WrestleMania rematch right here. Why do they do that?
Yeah.
Why do they do that? I don't know why they do that, bro.
Well, I mean, what happened to the longevity, man? I mean, what happened to stories? I just don't get it. You're having all these pop-up matches.
I don't know.
Because you're so desperate to try to get a pop and try to get a pop on the show instead of just really putting some time into it. And so you get all these rematches on Raw as if that's going to help. And then you do a bait and switch because you don't have the rematch. I mean, like there's been a lot of bait and switch lately.
And Chris, you said something very important there, and I want to really point that out when you said it takes time. You're exactly right, Chris. It takes a lot of extra time to tell stories.
Yeah.
You got to start shooting. Bro, if the production meeting is at 11 o'clock, you're shooting at 8 o'clock, bro.
Mm-hmm.
And bro, when the show is over and you're dead tired, you're shooting. You're constantly shooting nonstop at the building, off, away from the building. You are constantly, bro. My days when I was doing Raw, WCW, TNA, I'd say my day would start at about 8 in the morning and I would wrap up sometime at about 12 p.m. if I was lucky. If I was lucky. And that was a typical TV day because we were shooting well and beyond the show that was airing that night.
Yeah. And that's the dedication you got to put into it if you want to have your presentation look good. But otherwise, you'll just have random promo moments where you're just popping up rematches as if that's going to help anything. Joseph 999 super chat. Well, I'm glad that they are finally breaking up the instant failure known as damage control, since Bayley has been losing with them nonstop for so long. Her credibility ruined. Is it too late, Vince?
I listen. I'm just Joseph. What credibility are we really talking about? Like, honestly, like I listen, man. When Bayley was doing the ponytail and the balloons and the whole 9 yards, and they were shooting the little girls in the crowd. I made the statement very, very early on that Bayley could be a female version of a John Cena. I made that way early on. At this point, bro, credibility.
Yeah.
She's a wrestler on the roster. That's all she is. There's nothing to her. There's no character. There's no gimmick. There's nothing. And what they're doing now, Chris, is they're doing like all of these turns, like all at once. And I don't mind turns. You guys know I love turns. I love shaking things up. I love it, but not when there's no reason for it. I can't wait to hear what is Trish Stratus's reason going to be, that Becky called leader and not her? Is that what it's going to be?
See, I'm with you on that, man. I'm okay with, and I've said this on the show before, I'm okay with the turn if the turn means something. I despise pointless, just, kind of turns that just are not kind of like knee-jerk turns. I don't like that. And then you're turning just for this to be one match and done. Like, it's just not even really a story behind it. And the story behind the turn, like you said, is what? You didn't call me, you called Lita instead. So that's the reason why I attacked Lita. But we won a WrestleMania match and the titles weren't even defended. So that doesn't even make sense of why, like, you have the same position as Lita on WrestleMania. You got probably the same payday. And so what is your reason of why? And we'll get to that match, man. That was one of the worst matches ever on Raw. Like, it was just so slow. The Seattle crowd wasn't into it. There's so many just slow moments, miscues, botches. We'll get to that. And the turn to me just doesn't make sense. And the Bayley part, Bayley was interviewed by Steve Austin, by Stone Cold Steve Austin on his podcast years ago. As he was talking about how, like, she legit, this is before her heel turn years ago. And she was talking about how she just she refused to turn heel because she really was like into her character as far as like just, supporting the kids and just being there and just the merch and just really like, there was one time she saw like a kid crying for her and she was like, she was about to turn heel and they was at least talked about it. She saw her in the crowd and she was like, nah, I just can't do it. Now, the turn during COVID, it was a shock factor. So people react to shock factor. But if there's no consistency with the shock factor, it falls flat on its face. During COVID, Bayley worked to an extent because it was that shock factor of the turn. But now it's just nothing. There's nothing there, man, because there's not a story that really backs her being the heel and getting her heat a lot. It's just matches and that's it. So let's see. ACW online. More. I got a wife, 2 kids at home, man.
He's referring to my bash at the beach.
Oh,
gotcha. That's what he's referring to.
Oh, back in the day. Nice.
Yes, that is what he's referring to.
Awesome Sauce 220. Y'all know the minutes for the train to nice.
Yeah, let's remind everybody. If anybody is going to Corkin Hall after this show, Chris, just in case they need directions, okay?
Well, everything's Corkin Hall. So if you stay at Corkin Hall, you're going to walk. It's a 20-minute train ride.
Yeah.
It's 20.
Anybody going to Corkin Hall, it's just a 20-minute train ride.
Train ride to Corkin Hall. Yeah. Next we have Hannibal Miles, $5. Babyface tween damage control tonight looked way better than the past 6 months of heel damage control.
Okay.
I mean,
Bro, nobody's ever going to care about. Listen, I don't care. I don't care what happens with Bayley. I don't care. Nobody is going to care about any of this. None of it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what they do. They turn on Bayley. Bayley turn. Who cares? Bro, in order to care, they have to be at some level over. Okay, when they're never over, you're never going to care. Yeah. So at this point, it's too late for us to care. It's too late. That ship is sailed, bro.
To Hannibal's to Hannibal's point here, as far as just a possible babyface damage control, is there any way to salvage Io Sky and Dakota Kai right now?
None.
There's none.
Zero.
Well, where should they go? Back to
look like bro. Because here's number one: they don't look like they belong. That's number one. They don't look like wrestlers. They don't scare anybody. And bro, that's okay. Listen, if you don't look like a wrestler and you don't scare anybody, but you can do Rey Mysterio type things, okay. Yeah. No, they can't. Or if they can, we've never seen it.
Yeah, Io can, but they're not really using.
We've never seen it.
Yeah, I mean that's right. They're not using. When she came in as a heel and the whole damage control thing, period. I thought it was odd. I mean to choose. I mean Dakota Kai, she played heel a lot on NXT. She played heel and then she came back as a babyface, and she had a feud with Raquel Rodriguez, and I think she was babyface at the before she went away for a while from WWE. I think I haven't followed NXT for a while like that. But bringing those two back, to me, it was just like, okay, Io was thinking about leaving. I think at that point, Dakota was already gone. So it seems like that was Triple H's attempt to bring them back and show them, okay, well, we want you to come on the main roster because you've put so much time on NXT, but putting them with Bayley in that spot, it hasn't done anything for them, man. Yeah, you can throw titles on them, but what does it mean if it doesn't if it doesn't have any development with it?
It means we just got paid $9.6 billion. So everything, this is what Triple H would say. We've just been paid $9.6 billion. So everything Dr. Chris and Vince Russo are talking about really doesn't mean anything. And you're right. I'm agreeing with you, bro. I'm agreeing with you, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at the end of the day, WCW was doing well, and and unfortunately, because of ratings and because of channel network is what I'm looking for. Network, it didn't work with all the money that they had. So just because you have a lot of money doesn't mean that it's always going to be a success for longevity. That doesn't mean longevity. So before we get to the next super chat, I want to ask you this when it comes to WCW. So the latter parts of their, how long did you stay at WCW? Did you stay before
WCW? God, I was actively working for about 9 months, but I had a 2-year contract.
Okay. So March of 2001 is when the buyout happened.
Yeah, I was way
you
gone.
weren't there. Okay. So you were there in 2000 and 99 and 2000?
Yeah.
Okay. So what was the direction as far as since you had a lot of, say you had a lot of influence backstage in WCW, were there any type of discussions of buyouts and stuff like that during the time that you were writing for it?
Oh God. Well, towards the end, bro, that's why I stopped going, because I was, I was dealing with the concussion. I had post-concussion syndrome. Mm-hmm. The doctor told me I really shouldn't be traveling, and I was traveling. Mm-hmm. And bro, every time you got to the building, that's all that everybody was talking about. Like the show at that point didn't even matter. So I got to the point where I'm like, bro, I am still trying my best to write the best show I possibly can. And all everybody cares about is who we're going to be sold to. So what is the point of me even trying anymore? And that's literally when I, I'll never forget my last show. I think we were at the Cow Palace in San Francisco. It was probably sometime in October, maybe October of 2000. And that was it. That was it, bro. So after that, I went home, I collected my check, and then I just watched it play out.
Wow. Yeah, because October 2000, that was 5 months before the buyout in that show.
Yep.
And was it Panama and Cleveland was the split show?
Yeah, I think so.
Panama.
But yeah, bro, everybody was talking about was the sale, and I was like, what's the point? It was what was the point of what I was doing? There was no point to it anymore.
Yeah. Very, very interesting. So I know that Bischoff was there with you. So Bischoff left, and then he became there with you, and y'all had an angle on screen where y'all were like tag teaming together. Like, how much was Bischoff involved into the sale? Because I know that his name was up there because he was trying to put some things together.
Oh yeah, no, bro. Again, I was not involved at all. But Eric and Fuchsint, I think Fuchsint was the name of the company. He was real close to buying the company, very close.
Wow.
Yeah,
because Warner was the Time Warner. They didn't want to because was it AOL?
Yeah, AOL. When that merger happened, bro, with AOL and Time Warner. They did not want to be in the wrestling business. I mean,
Ted Turner was a wrestling fan.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. So when the merger was made and Turner was out, AOL, they did not want to be in the wrestling business. It wasn't about numbers, budget. It was about none of that. They, from the top, they just wanted to get out of the wrestling business.
Yeah, so they pushed WCW away, saying that we don't want to be a part of this anymore. And so that's where the potential buyers came in.
Yes.
And how did it get to the point, as far as what you remember, how did it get to the point where it became pennies on the dollar? I mean, it was just,
bro, I don't know, because you got to understand something too, bro. You got to understand, Brad Siegel was the head of TBS and TNT. Brad and Eric were very, very, very close. And, Eric had the investors. They were all lined up, and they were offering a heck of a lot more money than what WWE paid. So, I bet you, I know that Eric would be able to tell you exactly what happened. I have no idea, bro. I just know Eric and Brad were tight. Eric had investors. They made an offer that was much more than the WWE, and it wound up going to the WWE.
So if Bischoff were to buy that 22 years ago, do you think, in your opinion, working there, 22 years later, do you think WCW would have still been in business?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I would not have been a part of it. Eric and I did not get along, so I wouldn't have been a part of it. But, the way Eric does business and conducts business, I absolutely, positively believe that they would still be here today.
So do you think AEW will even be a thing then?
Yeah, because Tony Khan loves it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if they lose money. That's not even part of the equation.
But AEW spawned from essentially Cody wanting to make a brand of his own, just basically want to come on his own.
Well, how it really happened, bro, how AEW really, really went down was Tony Khan went to some highfalutin party in Beverly Hills or something, and the head of TNT was there, and he had a conversation with Tony Khan about they were going to try to get the rights, the television rights for WWE. They were just about to throw a bid in the hat, and Tony said, "Well, wait a minute. What if I could produce you a wrestling company? And then it was at that point that Tony went to Cody and the Bucks and what they were doing, and that was the proposal he made to TNT.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So if WCW was still around, TBS and TNT were their home.
Yes.
How do you think that would have factored in?
There would have never been an AEW unless he could have found another network.
Yeah. So that's why I asked. So I said, do you think AEW still been here? You said yes.
Oh no. If WCW were still going on, AEW would have never gotten on TNT and TBS. No.
Yeah. Interesting. So Tony Khan still would have had interest in starting a company, but you still have WWE and WCW, competing with each other.
Yes.
AEW, do you think they would have had an opportunity to be a big promotion?
Bro, like I said, I am not sold that Tony Khan doesn't pony up some money to get the ad time. To get the air time.
Yeah.
So I think he would have got on another network because money talks, bro.
Yeah.
Money talks. If you go to a network and say, listen, man, what do you usually get in advertising for a 1 hour show? Oh, well, 5 million. Oh, okay, no, I'll give you 10 million, bro. If you give us, money talks. So I am confident, bro, he would have gotten on another network. But if you still would have had WCW and the WWE going head to head, he might have wound up like TNA.
Yeah, I see that too. Yeah. Do you think Cody would have went to WCW when he left WWE and tried to make a name for himself?
Absolutely, yeah.
So he could have been at the helm of WCW instead.
Yep.
Very interesting. Very interesting. I'd rather talk about stuff like that than Raw any day of the week. So, Mike Dowling, $10 super chat.
That's what exactly, Mike. Thank you. Go ahead, read it, Chris.
What kills me is that they have no pride in themselves. They want to do a better job.
Yes,
and all just go through the motions, and good enough for them. I think it shows terrible work ethic.
Mike, you are that's the one thing, Mike, I say all the time. Pride. Your name is on it, Mike. I've said that a million times. I agree with you, man.
Yeah. Likewise. Star Tracker Tracks 799. Hi Vince, do people ever scream, show us your tats?
I get bro, a lot of time. I like to wear tanks in the summer. People are always putting over my tats when I go out, bro. Yeah, all
discrimination, or can you talk about your arm tats?
How about that tat right there, bro?
Is that Ozzy?
That is Janis Joplin, bro.
Oh, okay, got you. Yeah. It kind of looks like Ozzy at first glance, but I can see the Joplin.
Yes.
He's asking, can you talk about your arm tats?
Oh my God, it would take the whole show, bro. I got so many of them.
Okay, give me 3.
This is Baloo from the Jungle Book.
Okay,
one of my favorite movies. This is Caesar from Planet of the Apes.
Okay.
love Planet of the Apes. Love Caesar. What else do I got? This is Ralph Cramden, bro. Right there, the honeymooners. Ralph. We got Rocky Balboa right there. That's Rocky.
Oh,
yeah,
we TV guy, man.
We got the cross, bro. We got my wife's name.
Wow.
Yeah,
man. Your arms are canvases for sure. You should just get a helium balloon, like right by your bicep. Just get like a helium balloon.
Look at that gun there. Throw that up there again, Chris. Throw that up on camera. Look at that, people. Wow.
Yeah,
talk about pride, man. That's pride. That's work and dedication, man.
5 days a week, man.
Yeah,
5 days a week. Let's see here. We got Rollin 499 super chat. Boo. Dominic botched the promo. His first words were, keep your name out of your mouth. Yeah, I did notice that.
Yeah.
Did Ray beat Dom at Mania because Dom is still learning? Yeah, that's a fair question. What do you think? Why do you think Ray beat Dom at Mania?
I
have a theory. What do you think, Vince?
Well, I just think that's more believable at this point.
I think that Ray beat Dom because they didn't want to make the Hall of Fame look like it was a crap show. You know what I mean?
That would be a good reason.
Yeah. I just didn't. I mean, for him to headline Hall of Fame and then lose at Mania to Dominic, to a rookie, basically, a young Dominic. I think, they didn't want to do that. So
yeah.
Scott Smith, $5 super chat, bro. I love that clip. It pops me when the just heard Dr. Christie. You saw it coming. Yeah, I mean, I saw that coming from a mile away. I mean, it felt so forced, and it was
and they totally botched that, bro. Like,
horrible.
I mean, that was one of my notes. She was over Becky, and she said something to Becky, and we couldn't even hear what she said.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, like, really, bro? Like,
it was bad, man. So Lita gets as soon as Lita was attacked, I said, okay, so they're doing the heel turn with Trish, and then it made it even more obvious. Wow. Okay, so they're in Seattle, Washington. Trish Stratus has no reason to even be there anymore.
Right.
She came to help out Lita and Trish. This goes to WrestleMania. They beat Damage Control. She's Canadian. She's her own life in Canada, doing fitness stuff, being a family gal. Okay, see you, bye. Like, I'm going back home. You don't need me. Oh, but she just so happens to be in Seattle, though.
And bro, I'll go one step further for you guys listening to this show, Chris, because it's in my notes here. I don't think the announcer cell could have been any freaking worse.
Yeah.
Bro, listen to the cell of those two bananas ringside. Then I challenge you to go listen to any JR call. Yeah. Any JR. I don't even care which one it was. These guys sold this, and this is supposed to be a big deal, and we're shocked, and it takes our breath away. And these guys were on to the next thing 5 seconds later. Yeah. It was a horrible sell by the announcers, bro.
It was really bad. But I think, if I could try to advocate for Kevin Patrick and Corey Graves at all, I will say this. Not saying that this was the right thing, but that segment was so off. I mean, just with the match and what the fans were checked out, man. The match was so bad that the fans were just completely gone. And so the turn, and even the turn was botched. Like, she was like, okay, I'm gonna try to club you in the back, but I'm gonna miss you, and then I'm gonna run. Like, the turn basically was reflective of the whole match. It was so bad, man. Yeah. And so that was one of the most lousiest, just lifeless turns that I ever. And then you're like, okay, so Trish turns heel again. She had a decent heel run when she was, actually her heel run was pretty good when she was with I think it was Christian, if I'm not mistaken. Her and Christian were in cahoots, and I think they turned on Jericho, if I'm not mistaken. That was back in yeah, man, that was probably 03, 04, somewhere around there. So it was a while ago. And so maybe, I think it was around 20. Yeah, I think it was around WrestleMania 20. And so that was a long time ago, almost 20 years ago. And it worked for a while, but she's been the baby face. And it's like, you're retired, you're a Hall of Famer, and the heel turn just didn't feel authentic, man. She did the whole.
You get that too, and I don't know if this were part of it, bro. Sometimes you get that too if the talent's not into it.
You can tell that Trish wasn't into it, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying,
it was
bro.
A segment, I think the match was just. I think what I saw with the Trish turn is, if the match went better and the energy was better from the match, I think the turn would have been better. That match and that segment was just so bad that it just seems like she was just trying to get the segment over with.
Yeah.
And so the energy was just so bad that it just reflected in the turn to me, because it just reflected what we saw in the match. So that's my personal opinion. Awesome Sauce, $11 super chat, bro. One thing I can't stand is how bad these scripted promos are. Pretty sure Stephanie started, but almost every wrestler sounds fake. Roddy Piper once said, "Nobody should tell me how to be me."
Absolutely, man. 1,000,000,000% Awesome Sauce. 1,000,000,000%. That is so insulting and disrespectful. And I never did that, bro. I never did that.
Should that concept go away, Vince?
Oh my God, bro. Well, see, bro, that's the problem. Can the people they have on that roster pull it off? That's the problem, bro. That is the problem. I didn't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
Everybody on the roster was capable of cutting a promo.
Yeah. There was I forgot. SK Nation, give me the guy's name. One of the worst, Frank something, something. When they interviewed him, and it was some just enhancement talent back in the day. I think either in Memphis or USWA or something like that. And the promo was just so bad, man. If you just type in like worst pro wrestling promos ever, you would just have a big laugh. And he was one of the guys. And that's, to me, is basically like almost every WWE wrestler currently, because they're so dependent on the script that they're not really spending a lot of time really honing in their promos to hone in their characters. They're just, it's kind of like a handicap to them. They're just so used to it that if they, Vince, I guarantee you, in my opinion, if they rip the scripts away next week, there would be so many deers in headlights.
Oh, I agree. I agree with you 1,000%. No doubt in my mind, bro.
And you would be able to see like Rhea's promo, in the ring by herself, and that was scripted. Just imagine it, just freestyle. You know what I mean? It would be really, really tough. Let's see here. We got Ty, $10 super chat. You really want to shake up the draft? Russo as a consultant for SmackDown, Cornette as a consultant for Raw.
Oh God!
And see who gets the most viewers without getting the sponsors mad, hence costing the network money. If you had a chance, Vince, if you were offered a job to be a consultant and didn't have to go to the office, you can work from home, to be a consultant for SmackDown, would you take it?
If I could be a consultant on my terms, yes, no doubt. If I could be a consultant on my terms, yes, not on anybody else's terms.
Sounds good. Yep. Cool. Next we have the Finn Balor defeating Ray, with all the bells and whistles that came to that to cause Finn to win. We have Alpha Academy cutting an interview earlier today. They get interrupted by Maxine Dupree. The camera goes off to.
Oh, that was so that was high schoolish.
Yeah,
that was so unprofessional. I mean, the whole. Oh my God, bro! Just high school stuff, bro. Man.
Just so happens that Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan were there. Right. So were they supposed to be red herrings? Was that the reason for that? For them, out of everybody who's attacked, out of everybody, those two people just so happened to be there at that time earlier today. So it wasn't even like on during the time, real time. It was earlier today.
Because, bro, they're just not thinking anything through. Everything is being done in the simplest way it can possibly be.
Yeah. And then somehow Becky Lynch just so happens to be around the area, after, she's within eye shot, but Lita's the one who's hurting, but they were tending to her before Becky. So I guess Becky was in catering and getting a meal or something.
I guess so, bro. Yeah.
Next we have Trish Stratus. So they lost. So could this be Trish, the roll up from Liv Morgan, possibly the tag that led into the roll up was on purpose from Trish? Could they play it that way?
I have no. I who knows, bro?
That she let Liv pin her. Like that could have possibly been a thing.
Yeah.
So Vince, what is your take? What's your feelings on this whole match segment turn, all that? What do you think?
Bro, again, they're going down easy street. So Becky has an opponent in Trish Stratus because the other 12 girls on the roster, they can't build any of them that will mean anything to have a match with Becky. So turn Trish Stratus heel. That'll keep Becky busy for the next 3 months. I mean, that's all it is. I mean, that's it, bro. And I don't understand, again, we see later on, Piper Nevin still being wasted. Absolutely nothing being done with this woman. I mean, it's easy, bro. It's just very, very easy.
Do we so SummerSlam's 4 months from now, just about. Do we stretch this feud out for 4 months with Trish and Becky?
Yes, we do. Yes.
We just don't have a payoff at Backlash for this?
Nah, because you might throw Lita in the mix. We might get to see Lita and Trish again. We might get to see that.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Bro, I got to tell you, man, listen, bro, to each their own. And Chris, I am not driven by money. Guys, if I was driven by money, I would desperately be trying to get back in the wrestling business. I am not driven by money. Money does not drive me anymore, bro. So Chris, I am tired of seeing these people come back year after year after year. And as somebody that's been there and done that, it's just difficult for me because I'm sitting here and I'm like, bro, when is it time to move on with your life? Mm-hmm. Like, first of all, you don't need the money. Yeah. Let's make that perfectly clear. The WrestleMania payoffs these people have gotten, and for the years and years they've been doing it, you don't need the money. So, okay, bro, you love it that much that you got to keep doing it. Well, guess what, bro? Part of the reason why other people are being kept down, younger people, is because you love it so much and it's time. Bro, I purposely, towards the end of my career, Chris, was taking young writers under my wing because I knew, number one, I didn't want to do this forever. And number two, I couldn't do this forever. So that's why the Jeremy Borashes and the Matt Conways, I was always teaching my craft to a young writer.
Yeah.
There's a time to step aside, bro. There just is. I have stepped aside.
Yeah.
And when I just keep seeing like Edge and, it's like, my God, bro, when are you ever going to step away from this? I swear to God, Chris, it would literally, like, you and I, every 5 years, Joe Montana comes back to the San Francisco 49ers. Like, bro, it's okay, enough, man. I'm telling you, and maybe that's mean to say, and people can feel however they want. I'm tired of it, bro. I don't want to say like get a life, but bro, get a life, man. There is life beyond freaking wrestling, bro.
Vince, I don't even see Trish coming back because she just misses the product. Like, I don't see that in Trish because she's well off, doing her thing by herself. Like,
and what is it, bro? Is it ego? Is it spotlight?
It's Trish. I think it's WWE is trying to find a spot for Becky. They have done they've done a lousy job creating stars consistently. Like I said, the formula to keep a consistent main eventer is one of three things. You either have the title, you're chasing the title, or you've been derailed by someone during the chase. And so the problem is that formula, they don't do that. Why? Because they have 50-50 booking. And because they have 50-50 booking, that formula doesn't work and they don't apply it and nobody looks like a consistent main eventer minus a Roman Reigns and maybe one or two other people arguably. And so what you do is you're having all this 50-50. So what's the formula for them to boost somebody up? They go to the Legends well and say, okay, yeah, this will do it. This will help Becky launch to some feud with some current star. But that starts to get old. And so what I see them doing this with the whole Trish thing, they probably gave Trish a call. Trish was like, okay. You know what I mean? Like, I'll do it. You know, I like Becky. I want to help her out. I'll do it. And so she's just playing along because she's more bought into helping Becky because that probably was the pitch for her to help Becky. I don't see personally, I could be wrong, but I don't see Trish saying, "Oh man, I really want this."
But on the other side of the coin, bro, and I'm with you. I'm not saying Trish is saying that.
Now,
I don't know for sure. But on the other side of the coin, does Trish really think it's going to help Becky?
See, Vince, you know how the politics works. You know how the meetings works. You know how convincing those talks can be backstage, especially anything dealing with Vince. I've interviewed nearly 500 wrestlers, and it unanimously they say, I have a thought, or I come in storming in the office, and Vince McMahon, by the time I'm done with that meeting, I completely changed my mind. That's the type of motivation and influence Vince McMahon has into anybody. So it doesn't, like Vince, case in point, Undertaker wanted to retire years ago. Like WrestleMania 28 was arguably Taker's last match, that Hell in a Cell against Triple H with Shawn Michaels as a special guest referee. Vince, that was WrestleMania 28. So that was 11 years ago. so 11 years ago, there was talks of him, but he came back for 29. He came back for 30. Like he came back for 31 and 32 and 33 and 34. So every single year you got that Vince, you get that Vince call. Mark, I've got something for you. You know what I mean? Like, no, brother, I think, yeah, but okay, I'll do it. You know what I mean? Like Vince, you've been there. You've been there backstage.
I know I've been there, and I said no.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the thing.
I mean, that's
for you as a writer, though. You're like, backstage is your thing. Like, you don't get like the dopamine isn't in the crowd, isn't the pulse of the crowd, isn't the reaction. When you, from a psychological standpoint, that dopamine when Rock comes out and does this, like, that's that dopamine rush that he's experiencing that he doesn't experience in the movies, because he has stunt doubles and he has to get rehearsed and everything has to be cut and everything like that. It's just a live pulsating crowd that he's getting that dopamine from. And Taker and Austin last year, they get that hit, man. And it's like, I want it again. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And when you're seeing people like Edge come back, you can see it. You can see he's getting that dopamine rush, man. And so it's hard to get away from it once you're like, even if you do a one-off and like you're kind of going back and you're like, oh man, I kind of want that rush again. You know what I mean? So that's the thing when it comes to, Terry Funk coming back after multiple retirements, Mick Foley coming back after multiple retirements. That's just, part of the game, man. So I can see with Trish, her being kind of lured, to do it. But I mean, I don't know, from what we saw in this segment, it seems like she might have had second thoughts because
I don't care. I have no interest of seeing this thing play out because I'm just over it, bro. Like it's too many times, man.
Yeah. I just don't think it's a good formula for how they're booking wrestlers, overall.
Yeah, I agree.
It's so much 50-50. You beating a legend doesn't change the 50-50 issue. That the only thing that does is that I've said this before, in a lot of cases, that diminishes the legacy of the legend if they're just coming back like Trish. Trish doesn't want to be lastly known for making a heel turn in a horrible match and eventually losing to Becky Lynch. Is that the last thing that you want to be known for? And then what happens? No, I don't like how that worked.
Yep.
You want to come back again and be
That's
another.
right.
You know,
You're right, bro.
that's what happens, man. Next we have Paul Heyman doing the backstage interview. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, bro. Here's my thoughts on this, bro. Why are you telling people Sami Zayn isn't here and a Riddle is not here? Why are you telling people that when they're here? Like what if I am a Sami Zayn fan and I am a Matt Riddle fan and shoot, they're not going to be on the show tonight. I'm going to bed. Yeah. I just don't understand why you would do that.
Yeah.
If you want to say, man, their plane's been delayed, and even unfortunately, it looks like they may not make it, even something like that. Don't say they're not coming and then they come.
Yeah. What did I say, Vince? Bait and switch, man. Bait and switch. It's been bait and switch over and over and over and over, man. So that's part of their kind of shock factor product that they're trying to present, but it's just not working, man. Not working. We get Damage Control backstage segment. They discuss their title goals. We get a little dissension. So does Bailey turn? Does EO turn? Who makes the turn here in your opinion, Vince?
The only thing that seems logical to me is they try to turn Bailey babyface again.
I'll be okay with that, honestly.
Yeah, I mean turning those two babyface is going to do what?
Yeah, nothing really. I mean, EO gets a reaction from the live crowd, from the pocket of NXT, enthusiasts. But of course, that's not enough to,
Bro, you want to hear something funny? How long has EO been on the show?
Main roster?
Yeah.
They viewed SummerSlam of 21.
So we're going on 2 years.
Yeah, it's been almost 2 years.
Bro, I was just reading an article the other day by Jim Johnston, the Music Man at WWE. And the whole article was about, bro, the music is not tying into the emotion of the character between the character and the fan. And I just finished reading that article, bro. I swear to you, 2 years. They hit Ione Sky's music. I had no idea who was coming.
Really? Yeah.
2 years. I had no idea I had no idea whose music that was.
Yeah, that's true. SummerSlam of 22. That's when it was. So it'll be a year in August. Well, I think that was like late July. So it'll be a year in a few months. So yeah, I mean, within almost a year, and I mean, it's nothing. I interviewed Jim Johnston, and actually one of my favorite interviews. I've been wanting to interview him for years, and he actually played Taker's.
Yeah,
he
awesome.
was in the studio. Yeah.
So
I was like, dude, you got to be in your studio while you did the interview. And he was like, yeah, he'll do it. And he started playing Taker's theme song, and it was really cool. And he said that he was like, nowadays you can pluck any person's theme song.
Yes, you can.
On somebody else. Like that's essentially what we see, and that is so different from the glass shatter, from the gong, from the pomp and circumstance. Like it's just, and you can, and pomp and circumstance is, I mean, that's a stock song. What I mean? That's a stock song, but Randy Savage made like that song his own. What I mean? A stock song his own because of his character being so fitting to that type of role. And it's like you can't even a stock song, it wouldn't have made sense if you would have put it on somebody else because Savage was so good at what he was,
Yeah.
man, you know.
Yeah.
Real American, you know what I mean? That was something that was, if I'm not mistaken, that was on Wyndham and Rotunda first. And then, you know, they did okay, you know, with it, but then they slapped that Joker on Hawk and he just took it to a whole different level, you know what I mean? So yeah. And if I think Angle's song, there was a couple recycled songs. If I'm not mistaken, Angle's song was on the Patriot. That same song was on the Patriot. So yeah, and so Angle made it his own, man. So yeah. We get Lashley and Reed. So you know, big
bro. I like this. This was
Yeah.
the only thing on the show I actually liked. It was the only thing I actually liked, and you could tell, like at the beginning, that Reed, you could tell he was really nervous. But as it went on, I actually like to see these two big brutes fight. I like this part of the show.
So Bronson Reed, you can tell that this was like a big spot for him.
Yeah.
And so in the very beginning of it, you know, he definitely seemed like he was playing, like he was playing a little hesitant and nervous. He was really nervous. But I think what happened with this is Lashley did a really good job knowing how to play to the crowd, because by this time the crowd was just dead. I mean, like all the segments and stuff, they were just lifeless. And Lashley did a really good job playing the baby in this match. And
well, you know what else too, Chris? Based on the WrestleMania fiasco, Lashley knows he needs an opponent.
You're right.
So, all right, man, this guy looks the part. Probably, you know, yes, sir, no, sir, backstage to Lashley. Lashley knows I need an opponent.
Yeah.
And you could kind of see that in the match, that Lashley was really trying to make this guy look like somebody.
Yeah, and I like the fact that it wasn't a one-off. You know what I mean? I like the fact that they're going to make this another match. I was like, you know, if it was a one-off, I was like, because the match was okay. I mean, I like the fact that Lash was doing a good job playing the baby. Seattle got into it when he was doing his comeback spots. I appreciate all that. But there was some slowness. And Bronson Reed at the end, he was gassed out. Like he was blown up. And like, I think if they both review, so here's the thing. I don't mind this for the fact of Lashley being a mentor to Bronson Reed during this time. I think that this would be a good spot for him to ask Lashley questions, review the tape, because he blew Bronson up. And I think at the end of the day, if he learns and watches that, I think that they can really hone in their feud more, you know, to help both of them in a sense. So, yeah, I mean, the fact that it was a non-finish, I'm okay with that stuff on Raw. If it's a non-finish and there's a brawl like that, a pull apart, if it's leading to something at the end, to a pay-per-view spot or PLE spot, I'm fine with it. Cody Rhodes cuts his in-ring promo, challenges Brock Lesnar Backlash. So this actually was a surprise to me, because I thought that this was going to be dragged out more, which I think it should, but they're making this a blow off though.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just, to me, bro, it was just too long just to want to match with. Like, Cody's interviews just sometimes go on too long, man. It's like this was to just make the match.
Yeah.
And this was like a 10-minute promo, and it's like, bro, just get to making a match, man.
Yeah, indeed. Speaking of Trish, real quick, and what do you? I was thinking while you were talking, I meant to mention this. What do you think about Trish bringing on Piper Niven as a heavy? And do you think that it possibly could get Piper?
I would. Yeah, I mean, if they could tie somebody else in and give somebody else the rub, absolutely, I would be all for that.
So to me, I think that would give a little bit more legs to if they're trying to stretch this for 4 months. I think that if Trish came out as the heel and Piper was doing the dirty work, you know what I mean, and she was like her heavy, I think that would be better than just Trish coming out being mad at Becky for some odd reason. To me, it doesn't make sense. Becky is trying to be what Trish is. Like, she's a multi-time champion, Hall of Famer, and arguably the biggest name in WWE history. You know what I mean? Like, as far as popularity is concerned. Becky Lynch is trying to be that person. So why is Trish jealous or mad? Like, what is it that she's mad
We'll
about?
find out next week, bro.
Oh, wow. Riveting television, Vince.
Yeah.
Riveting television.
Yeah.
We get Io Sky defeating Piper Niven and Michin. What's up with your girl Michin, man? Why do you think they're booking her so badly?
I don't know, bro. You skip right over the Usos and Alpha Academy that went on forever.
Oh yeah, that's right. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, come on, bro. You know, again, this is a house show match.
Yeah.
The people are popping and they're into it, and the Alpha Academy's never going to go over.
Yeah.
So I don't care how many high spots they do, how many false finishes. I don't care. They're not going over.
Yeah. I mean, like, who do you think is the most popular women's wrestler ever? Popular.
Ever?
Not basketball pop. Yeah. What do you think? In WWE?
God, bro. I'd hate to say Sable.
Mm.
See, bro, I didn't all those, bro, the Trish years, the Lita year. I never watched any of that. I saw none of that. So I couldn't tell you.
I've never been a Trish guy. Lita's my all-time favorite. She's the GOAT to me. But I mean, it's hard to see Lita, this version of Lita, honestly. But she's my all-time favorite wrestler. Like, the Trish Lita years, as far as like popularity as a wrestler, like, this is like, Trish is arguably the most popular as far as just like just overall popularity when it comes to a wrestler who she came as a manager, she became a wrestler, and the impact that she had overall. And this is just it's based on opinion. So, SK Nation, what do you think? And if making in the comments, but it is an interesting conversation. I think that Trish is among the most popular of all time. I do. Because at the end of the day, you have to think about just her longevity. I think she's won the title like 7 times, you know what I mean? And so people keep saying China. I wouldn't say China. I wouldn't say China. I think China's had the potential to be up there, but I think that her run was so, I think the rug was pulled under her before she had an opportunity to reach more. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even think China peaked. Like, I don't think she peaked in her run to be among the most popular. If that makes sense. People are saying Miss Elizabeth, she wasn't a wrestler.
No,
she doesn't even count. Jacqueline, I love Jacqueline. I don't even think she's nowhere in the mix. Who else? Medusa. What do you think, Vince?
No, she was a great wrestler.
Yeah,
and the real deal, but no.
Yeah, as far as like breaking out to mainstream popularity, just kind of, I don't. Moolah's always a fail-safe answer, but the business as a whole just wasn't that popular, back in the 60s and the 70s at that time. So interesting conversation there. I'm sure SK Nation, and again, making in the comments whatever your thought is. Some people saying Sunny. What do you think?
No, Sunny wasn't a wrestler. She wasn't a wrestler.
She wasn't even a wrestler. We have Kevin Owens cutting the backstage interview, which leads to the final match of the night. Solo Sikoa defeating Kevin Owens. We had a bunch of people involved in that match to protect Owens. That was his way of protecting lose. What do you think, man?
Bro, I'll say it again, and so many people think like it's all personal and stuff. And first of all, bro, it can't be personal when you don't know. In order for it to be personal, you have to know the person.
Yeah.
If you don't know the person, then it can't be personal.
Yeah.
Okay, here's what I know. I know Sami Zayn used to be El Generico. I think I worked with Sami Zayn once or twice at TNA when he was El Generico. Okay. Here's what I know. He's been doing this for a very, 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 very long time.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's what I know. They do this big run-in at the end because Kevin Owens, their buddy's getting pummeled.
Yeah.
Here's what I know. Sami Zayn is throwing punches like a girl. Oh, not personal, bro. I am a guy watching a television show. They are beating your best friend to a pulp. You guys come running through the parking garage like Superman and Batman side by side. And the minute you get out in the arena, you're going to start giving rabbit punches to the back of the head. Okay, bro. And you've been doing this for how long? Really, bro? Yeah. I would love to know the excuse or the reasoning for that, because the second you throw that first rabbit punch that wouldn't hurt a fly, you've lost me, bro. Now it's fake. Now it's phony, just like I thought it was. Look at the punches Sami Zayn is throwing. Mm-hmm. Come on, guys. You've got to be better than that.
If you're backstage during that segment, like if you're backstage for Raw and you're, in creative and writing the show, and you saw that in Gorilla, you saw a monitor backstage and they came back, what would you tell them of how to sell the punch more in that particular scene?
I would tell them, bro, put yourself in the freaking moment. You're running to save your friend. Those are the punches. Bro, put yourself in a bar fight. Oh, you here in the parking lot. They're pummeling Bobby in the bar. Mm-hmm. You go running in the bar. Those are the punches you're going to be throwing, bro? Those are not punches I'm going to be throwing.
Yeah, yeah. How do they make that a working punch in that particular?
Bro, these are supposed to be professional wrestlers. I even remember Jeff Jarrett taught me how to do it, bro. Jeff Jarrett said, Vince, when you got me down, just come from way up. Come from way up. And, bro, just punch. You're not going to hurt me. Just punch me there, Vince. Come from way up and hit. You're not going to hurt me. And that's exactly what I did, and it looked freaking believable.
Yeah.
These guys aren't 100 pounds that they're hitting.
Yeah.
Come on, there's meat to these guys.
Yeah. That's a good point as far as just because I'm wondering, what is it? How could you sell? Because I know people like Lawler and Bobby Eaton had a really good working punch. Jeff Jarrett has a really good working punch. Bobby Fulton has a really good working punch. There's a lot of, there's a set of people who are old school who really know how to sell it really well. And their working punches are really, really good. And so it's like when I'm seeing like this, it's like, man, how does that believable when someone's watching?
You are exposing the business that you are supposed to love. That's exactly what you're doing, bro. You're exposing the business and showing the world, bro, this is fake. This is phony. Look, he's not really hitting them. Anybody can see that. You're exposing a business you're supposed to love.
I do think there should be a better effort with working on punches. I do. I think it's one of those things that if someone's watching that, again, you have to appeal. Like if you're the crowd doesn't care about that, but this is for television. Right. All this is for the sake of television. If someone's watching that on television, that's the reason why you have the cameras to pan on and things like that. And that's what the production's for. If someone's looking at that from the standpoint of a television perspective, they're not really going to think that that's very believable, and that's a detriment to the presentation of your product overall. So
1000%.
I got a couple super chats before we go. Of course, Roland coming through, 199 super chat. How popular was the initial creepy Alexa Bliss? What do you think? We're talking about popularity, the most popular women's wrestler of all time. What do you think?
God, I don't even remember how they started her out. Is he talking about NXT or WWE?
As far as the initial creepy Bliss, I think that was like the Harley Quinn deal with Wyatt. That was just a few years back.
Yeah, I mean,
not among
what's going on with her?
She had some skin issues. Like I think she had like skin. I think it was cancerous. I think there was some skin problems that she was
really. Oh God, I didn't hear that.
Yeah. VC Stallion 499 super chat. I think she's fine now, but I think she was gone for a while. Then she took some time off, and then she was having some skin issues, as far as I remember. Hey Vince, was China winning the WWE title a reality in 1999, or something that was an idea? And if so, who would have been on board with this?
Yeah, I can tell this was never, ever discussed when I was there, ever. And I left in late September of 99. That was never a discussion, not one single time.
So why do you think that's what was people like The Rock and Austin and Taker, what were they, the big money makers? What was their view on China wanting equal pay at that time, or at least similar pay to them? Did they scoff at that? Did they agree, or what?
Well, bro, you got to remember too, like she was tied to Triple H.
Yeah,
so if she was by herself, I think people would have been a lot more vocal. But the fact that she was tied to Triple H, and also too, bro, the fact that she was just so respectful. Never talked out of turn. That's why she was so well respected.
Gotcha. So she was well respected in the back.
Oh yeah.
Good. All right, awesome sauce 299 to 220 super chat. Richter on MTV was huge. Did like a 9 rating. Yeah, I mean, like the War to Sell.
That was huge with Cyndi Lauper and all that. Absolutely, it was. Yes,
that was big. Yeah, that was big. Richter. Richter. The thing is, the reason I wouldn't put Richter there as far as just long, because there wasn't like she didn't have a long.
No, it was very short.
Yeah, it was just there. She was just there in the moment, with the MTV and WWE merge. So, cool. All right, so if there's no more super chats, we're gonna go ahead and take our exit. Let them know one more time about the brand, my man. And
yes, guys.
Football.
Everything is russosbrand.com. And if you are a fantasy baseball player, you could check out patreon.com/VRFBB.
Yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen. All right, ladies and gentlemen, for another episode of the Legion of Raw. Thank you, Black Scorpion, pulling a
very nice.
That was fantastic. This guy right here is Vince Russo. I'm Dr. Chris. Have a good night, everybody. Solo.